Hello and welcome to another MiTunes podcast right here at manxradio.com.
Marc, Tyley, the nation station, Manx Radio.
When it comes to knowing the minute details of aspects of TT timing, you need look no further than my MiTunes guest this week, who this time around is our lead commentator on the TT course. Please welcome Chris Boyde.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, welcome indeed. It's going to be quite a challenge, I think, doing lead commentary and still trying to do the numbers.
Well, it's going to be amazing. And thank you for being with us. Well. Now, obviously, we've worked together over many years, but a lot of that work has been with cars, because your rallying interest is well documented. When did you first get interested in motorsport at all?
Oh, way back as a young child. My parents, they used to take us to the TT, they used to take us to the rallies that were on over here, and at the time, back in the late 70s, early 80s, the rallies here were as big as World Championship events. We had the Hannu Mikkelers, the Ari Vatanens, the Henry Toivonens, all of the big star names in world rallying were coming to the Isle of Man to rally. The event was massive. I remember Jeff Cannell in the early 80s describing the rally as bigger than the TT back in those days. That's how big it was. It had massive sponsorship behind it. The factory teams were all here, Audi, Opel, all of the teams, all the top teams. They were huge events. And so that's when we got into it, really. I can remember being taken and hanging out of the trees at Abbeylands Crossroads in the pitch black as banks of lights came over the jump at Abbeylands Crossroads and off down the hill. And that was when I was sort of 5 or 6. So, yeah, got my parents to blame, really.
And was it like the TT in that you could get up close to the cars when they were parked up?
Oh, absolutely. I can remember one day being on a stage start line, stood literally right next to Tony Pond, one of the big stars who actually lived here for a while as well, in the big Rover Vitesse that he was driving in the early 80s. And I was stood right alongside him as he went off the start line at Brandywell. You cannot imagine how close you could get to these guys. It was absolutely incredible.
And who were the commentators that you first remember hearing?
Oh, TT-wise.
Well, anywhere. I mean, we
were living in Union Mills on Lurgy Crippety. That was the family home, and it still is. And, I was there for the first 25, 26 years of my life. The earliest memories are sort of 5:15 in the morning practice waking you up. Back in those days. And so you'd take a book and stick it under the pillow in the end, just in case you got woken up so you had something to read, or you'd try and nip out and run down to the railway pub to see if you could catch a glimpse of the practice. But it was Peter Neal and Jeff Cannell. They were the two stalwart voices, and to have ended up potentially, sitting in the chair that they sat in is a very, very daunting feeling.
Yeah, well, I know it's going to be brilliant. We're recording this just before the start of TT, but as we speak, the man himself is up there. You're getting ready as we speak right now. Let's have your first track. You said this ties in with a big event, a first big rock concert.
Yeah, first big gig that I went to was Dire Straits in Sheffield. I've always been a big fan of Marc Knopfler's music, and just his style with the guitar, the picking style with the guitar, that just hardly anybody, it gets a different sound out of a guitar to anybody else. And we managed to get over to the On Every Street tour. Unfortunately, I missed the Brothers in Arms tour, really. I was a bit young for that, but we were there for the On Every Street tour, which was the last real tour before he broke the band up and decided he'd had enough of all the fame and has been off doing solo work. He only actually gave up touring last year as a solo artist, but this was the last Dire Straits tour, and it was a heck of a concert. It was the start of their world tour at the time.
Let's bring back some memories with which track?
It better be Brothers in Arms.
These mist-covered mountains are a home now for me, but my home is the lowlands, and always will be. Someday you'll return to your rise in your farms, and you'll no longer burn to be brothers in arms. Through these fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering as the battle raged high. And though it had hurt me so bad, in the fear and alarm, you did not desert me, my brothers in arms. There's so many different worlds, so many different suns, and we have just one world, but we live in different ones. Now the sun's gone to hell, and the moon's riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die, but it's written in the starlight, in every line in your palm. We're fools to make war on our brothers in arms.
This man's voice is well known around the world, getting even more well known this week. TT lead commentator Chris Boyde is with me on MiTunes all this week. Chris, first of all, great to have you here. I know it's going to be an amazing time. Please tell me, when you're doing commentary, and when you've done it in the past, what are you thinking, and how do you get all that knowledge focused down one little microphone?
I'm hoping the voice lasts out, TT. That's
Yeah.
the first thing to say, Mark. But yeah, I rely very much on the numbers. I've been brought into the team. We came in 2014 as the podium press conference host, if you like, following Dan Walker. Dan did it for a year, and then I took over doing the podium press conferences. And then we've moved into the main commentary team to try and provide some of the analysis, because we got these sector times. I think they came in about 2007, 2008, maybe. I can't exactly remember. But suddenly this was loads of new data that we hadn't had before, and that we could use to affect the style of commentary and preempt things rather than react to things. So I literally get a sector time in for Glen Helen, lap 1. and I will project on my own. I've written loads of software that gets updated year on year to make sure it's hopefully still there. It gets affected by the practice times, the quickest practice times. It gets affected by what we might expect for a race time based on previous year's times. First bike gets to Glen Helen, and my job is to say to the producer or to the lead commentator, he's on a 1:32 pace. And then we start refining that as we go around the lap. And then as we get into the second lap, we start doing lap by lap comparisons. He's 6 seconds quicker to Glen Helen than he was on the first lap, which you would expect because the first lap was a standing start lap. But as we get more into the race, those times, and suddenly Peter Hickman's not quickest up the mountain this lap, it's Michael Dunlop that's quickest. And then so it's working out what adds to the story for the listener, what gives the listener more information about what's happening in the race. And so in terms of preparation, there is a lot of preparation that goes into it. Months and months of preparation in terms of updating all of the records from the previous year, updating the rider stats from the previous year, putting all of that projection software in place and rebuilding that based on where we're now at with lap records from last year rather than lap records from 2 or 3 years ago or pre-COVID even. And so it's just constant. It's almost 52 weeks of the year now.
But on top of all that science and technology comes a massive enthusiasm that you can't help but give us, which is essential, isn't it?
And that's the vital bit. You don't want to be just spouting numbers, and that's why we say they're only worth putting out if they're relevant and if they're adding something for the listener. But much more important is the human being behind that. The rider on the bike, the team behind the rider, the family behind the rider. That's where the stories are. That's where we want to get all of that out for the listener. And we're telling the story of these heroes that are going out racing on the world's most fearsome race circuit. And it's a thrill and an honour to be allowed to tell these stories, and we want to do them justice. We want to get the whole team, Chris Kinley, Beth Espy, all of the pundits, all of us want to do the job justice. We want to get the right content out at the right moment, and the human story is everything.
This next song takes me back a while to when I was working in Germany. We do believe they're a German band, but it's also got a motor car connection, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. As we were talking about the rallies in the early 80s, there were two big rallies in the British Isles in the early 80s. There was the Manx Rally, which was a round of the European Rally Championship at the time, a top-ranking round of the European Rally Championship. And then there was Britain's round of the World Rally Championship, the Lombard RAC Rally as it was known at the time. And this tune was the theme music for the nightly coverage that the rally used to have. It was the biggest spectator event in the UK annually, the RAC Rally. Over 2 million people used to go out to watch it. They had a big show. They had showground stages on the Sunday at Donington Park and Chatsworth House and Rother Valley and all sorts. And then they'd go into the forests of Kielder and Wales and Scotland right through for the next 4 or 5 days. And so 2 million people traipsed out in late November every year to watch this event. And this track was the theme music, and we were avidly following it. And by the late 90s, we were there every year watching it.
It's Propaganda and Jewel. when it comes to commentating on a TT event, any race, doesn't matter what, it's so different from trying to look and commentate on a normal circuit motorbike or car race when you can see quite clearly who's in the lead. This is a world away from that, isn't it, Chris?
It is, and we have up in the grandstand tower there. We have, let's see, we've got 2, 4, 6, 3 banks of 2 monitors, and then I'm working off about 3 different laptops to get all of the information we need. We need the current leaderboard. We need the sector by sector splits. We need the overall lap sector splits. We need the full previous lap leaderboard so that we can go back and pick up the previous competitors. We need the pit stop times so that we can work the pit stops out. We have just data everywhere, and then the job is trying to pare that all down.
In a way, the person, the average fan standing somewhere or sitting in a bush somewhere around the course is lost without your commentary.
They can have leaderboards now online, but I would hope that we manage to add a lot more detail for them, and that's part of the reason why I came into the Radio TT commentary team, was to try and add that detail. Here's what's happening right now, and here's what you need to know that is happening right now, and it's a great thrill. It really is a thrill to have been asked in the first place to do it. To have got myself into this seat where the another lead presenter is, well, it's very daunting indeed.
Well, it's wonderful. I think it's great because your enthusiasm comes through. Talking about the machines, just a little bit touch on the machines. Normally Chris Kinley would drag him in at this point. But the marginal differences between machines, whether they be racing cars or racing bikes, they're all so good, and they're getting so close to each other.
It's incredible when you look that Peter Hickman's on a Ducati or a BMW or whatever it might be, and Michael Dunlop's on a Honda, completely different manufacturer, and yet they're going around within sort of 2-3 seconds of each other on a lap. So it's absolutely incredible how these manufacturers just get their bikes to the nth degree, and that nth degree is on a par for almost every single one of these bikes, and then that's what gives us the thrilling racing. What we really want is going into that final lap, 2 or 3 riders in contention separated by 3 or 4 seconds, and then it's full game on, and then the commentary really comes to life because the people on the hedges are desperate to find out what's the next sector point, what's the latest leaderboard update, and you can bring them that news and you can really bring the drama. It's fantastic.
It does lead us into another great piece of rock music from Bon Jovi, another favourite with you, Chris.
Yeah, I was sort of brought up, as we mentioned the other day, with Dire Straits, really, in the stadium rock type era. Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard and Whitesnake and all those types of bands. So we could have picked any track by any one of them, really. We picked Keep the Faith by Bon Jovi.
For the I've been walking in the footsteps of society's lies. I don't like what I see no more. Sometimes I wish I was blind. Sometimes I wait forever, just staring out of the rain, so no one sees me crying, trying to wash away this pain. There's things I'm gonna can't break. Every night we fall. It's hard with the world in your face. Trying to hold on. Trying to hold on. Now you're gonna live through the rain. Lord, you gotta keep the faith. Don't you let your love turn to hate. Right now we've gotta keep the faith. Trying to hold on. Trying to hold on. Everybody keep the faith.
They go round at an amazing rate, and working out who's in the lead and who's not, and what's happened and what sector they've done best is Chris Boyde. He can sort it out with the help of, we reckon, something like 9 computer screens, wasn't it?
There are a lot of screens going on up there in the tower, yeah, and I'm working off my own 2 laptops in addition to what the organisers provide, because we just need more and more data, and then literally as every race and every lap unfolds, we are pulling all of that data into spreadsheets that I've written and all sorts to try and give us the data that we need in order to provide the audience with what they need.
I remember when we had the privilege of having Murray Walker over here revisiting, and he did some commentary for us up there at the grandstand, and he was telling the story about how he couldn't get out. I think it was the South African Grand Prix, and he did it from the BBC in London and on screen, and without all the the amazing amount of data that you're privileged to. But they got away with it. They got away with it doing, because I think he missed his flight or something. So he did the whole commentary from a bunker, hidden from everybody, for the Grand Prix in South Africa.
Well, him and James Hunt were just spectacular.
They
Absolutely
both missed the
commentary.
flight. They
Wow.
both missed the flight. So these days, when you're looking for information, and you've got pundits as well, they must be really important to bring things in that you just don't know until they tell you.
We are so fortunate to have a great team of pundits. This week we're working with Lee Johnston. It's unfortunate he's not on the bike, but hopefully that recovery will come after his crash at the Northwest and then another crash earlier this year in testing. So we have Lee in with us. Lee is brilliant on commentary. He not only brings details that you just can't possibly see, he can be looking at the bike and go, his quick shift is not working there. And you've just suddenly got detail that you wouldn't spot at all. And he also brings humour. And it's vital that we have that humour element in the commentary. And I'm very happy to be his straight man for a couple of weeks here.
You've got no choice with Lee, have you?
No,
got no
absolutely. A star. But as well as Lee, we've got Jenny Tinmouth, who brings not only her experience as the fastest female racer around the TT course, but she knows these bikes inside out, and she knows all of the pit crews and the teams and everything. So she brings a lot of data with her, a lot of that information with her as well. And so if we can get Lee and Jenny working together, then we could have absolute tech speak for the anoraks.
A couple of people have asked me this week, does he ride himself? Has he ever ridden? I do remember him being a cricketer, somebody said. Cricket? But what about bike racing?
No, not done any bike racing. No, back in the day we did do a bit of cricket, and we did think we might be okay at that, but we soon realised our level, shall we say.
Oh, come on. There are plenty of people who remember Mr. Boyd on the cricket pitch. I can tell you.
Clean bowl, first ball.
No. Now, dear listener, I urge you to get hold of the podcast, which will be coming out later today, this afternoon, because we're not done yet. We're done for the week. We've got one more track to come. But we'll be talking about the future of the TT, what Mr. Boyd's going to be up to next. A lot more to come in the podcast. So just get that on your usual contraption this afternoon. I'll give you a nudge on the Facebook page. You can see when it's coming out. But for now, Fleetwood Mac. We couldn't really finish the week without this.
Absolutely. We were just talking about Murray Walker and James Hunt, and of course, this was the theme of Formula One on the BBC. And well, let's hope all the chains have stayed on across TT 2024.
Listen to the wind blow, watch the sun rise. Run in the shadows, damn your love, damn your life. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain. If you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain. Listen to the wind blow, down comes the night. Run in the shadows, damn your love, damn your life. Break the silence, damn the dark, damn the light. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain. And if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can still hear you saying you would never break the chain.
Fleetwood Mac, The Chain. The chain's come up. No, it's on. It's on. It's fine. Thank you, Mr. Kinley. So we had a week of MiTunes, but this is where we go a little bit deeper with my guest, Chris Boyde, lead commentator for the TT 2024. Question: what's the future of the TT?
I think it's shining more than ever at the moment. I think you've got manufacturers coming in. I know that's a lot of that is through BSB, but that's leading them into the roads efforts. And there's new bikes arriving. We've had lots of new bikes at TT this year, and at the Northwest just before TT that haven't been seen before. New Hondas, new Super Twin bikes coming out. I think it's actually really promising at the moment.
I think one of the big things with the TT machinery is you can pretty much go down to your local shop and buy it. And when you're looking at a rally car or indeed a Formula One car, you might as well forget it. You can't go and buy a Formula One car where you haven't got enough money and they're not available. But you can go and get pretty close to the Honda, the Ducati you've just seen on the TT
And
course.
that's something we've been putting to Lee Johnston just this week. We've been asking Lee, while we've had the expertise of someone, such a TT winner right with us in the commentary box, we've been asking him, go and buy a bike from a shop. How much do you realistically have to spend to make it up to road spec? Because the outright lap record coming into this TT is held by Peter Hickman on a super stock bike. Not on a super bike, on a super stock machine. Technically, as you say, something you can go and buy from the dealer, put a race kit on and go and race. And that holds the lap record around the TT course coming into TT24.
Fact, I'd forgotten that. Thank you. I'd absolutely forgotten that. So there they are. They're out there, the heroes. What's next?
For me, back to the day job. As it is, we're dovetailing the day job with TT work. But yeah, we'll roll on to Manx Grand Prix probably next, and we'll get the stars back over for the classic element of that. But what really excites me about the Manx Grand Prix is the riders that are coming through, the new riders. We had a brilliant Manx Grand Prix last year with Joe Yearsley, Mark Simpson, lots of riders coming through, some of them moving on to TT this year. And so it's those modern classes at the MGP giving the guys a chance to make their name as they make their way onto the mountain course.
Last question from me about electricity. We did have some TT0 races. We had various names and bits and pieces. What's happened there?
I think there is now an electric GP series that's running as part of MotoGP, and I think probably a lot of the concentration has gone into that rather than through the TT. It was only attracting sort of 7 or 8 entries generally, the TT0, and so they decided to rest it after 10 years. They got to the nearly 120 mile an hour lap, I think it was, which is you think it's an exponential.
Yeah,
the actual growth of the lap speed on them from sort of 90 odd mile an hour through to 120 in about 10 years or so. It was incredible, and Michael Rutter obviously has won lots and lots of those races, so too John McGuinness, and so these guys are very grateful for it, but I'm not overly sure we'll see it back in any great hurry.
I think you touched on it, because on a circuit which is pretty flat, they're going to do a lot better. The electric bikes are going to perform a lot easier than doing the mountain course.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the car side, we have Formula E now, which is very well established and has got lots of manufacturers in it at the moment. And so there is still progress happening on the development of both bikes and cars on the electronic side for racing, but it's just happening away from us, unfortunately.
Okay, so be it. Faithless to finish off the podcast bonus track. Come on.
Just memories of those Ibiza classic times and going partying in islands and probably adventures that we probably shouldn't mention on.
Oh, I think we should. Another day, anyway. Well, maybe in the bar once TT's over. Listen, it's been a brilliant week. Chris Boyde, congratulations on being our lead commentator for the whole event. Massive congratulations from all of us here, and everyone I've spoken to is absolutely delighted.
Hopefully the insomnia will have cleared by the time TT finishes.
Chris Boyde, thank you for coming on to MiTunes.
Thank you.
Deep in the bosom of the gentle night is when I search for the light. Pick up my pen and start to write. I struggle to fight dark forces in the clear moonlight without fear. Insomnia. I can't get no sleep.
worry. Thought I was going mad in a hurry, getting stressed, making excess mess in darkness. No electricity, something's all over me, greasy. Insomnia, please release me and let me dream of making mad love to my girl on the heath. Tearing off tights with my teeth, but there's no release, no peace. I toss and turn without cease, like a curse. Open my eyes and rise like yeast. At least a couple of weeks since I last slept, kept taking sleepers, but now I keep myself pet. Deeper still, the night I write by candlelight, I find insight, fundamental movement. So when it's black, this insomniac, take an original tack, keep the beast in my nature under ceaseless attack. I get no sleep, I can't get no sleep.
Faithless Insomnia, the bonus track from my MiTunes guest, lead commentator for TT 2024, Chris Boyde. Thank you, Chris, and thanks to you for dropping by here. And don't forget, keep coming back to manxradio.com for more podcasts. They're coming up every single day. And join me when you can for the morning show, 9:30 to 12, with me, Marc Tyley, on your Manx Radio.